Lads, lasses, and the rest of the masses, welcome back to a retroactive grayscale. Now, yesterday we saw Chelsea qualify for the Champions League. We came fourth in the league in the end on match day 38 against Nottingham Forest with a 1-0 win. We're going to be going through as usual and weighing things up on the scale from good moments to bad moments, but of course, let's be honest, there's not going to be any bad or medium moments in this episode. Everything's going in the good box, and let's kind of break down some things from the game. Let's talk about 7 things, as I always do, so my lucky number of 7 things, and kind of just talk about the game and in a retroactive way. I think the first thing I want to talk about, because it's bizarre that I have to do this, and I felt like I could get it out of the way first, is I'm going to be giving a good, this is unholy by the way, to the referees. I can't believe I'm saying it, but the referees, Anthony Taylor, who I am a notorious hater of, was really, really good in the game. And I kind of asked in previous streams and previous videos and things like that, that the one thing that I wanted from this game and some of the other games in the run-in was just for us to have some fair, normal officiating, because it felt like for the majority of the season that I was talking about the referees and, it was on the bingo card as ever, VAR mistake, or, that's been on the bingo card for the entire season, because it seemed to happen to us every single week that something would happen, whether a bad decision or a red card or a penalty given away and things like that. And it was really nice to see in these last few games, but especially in this game with a referee that is notorious for screwing us over in Anthony Taylor, such a normal professional performance, and he kept on top of the game really well, even when it came a bit feisty at the end and players were getting involved with each other and things like that. I think he officiated the game perfectly well. Yeah, and I have to give him credit where it's due, I guess. Now, the next good is for another player that has been in the bad box a few times this season, but I cannot fault him at all for yesterday's game and for the last few games as well, and that's Robert Sanchez. Now, I think it's important to distinguish that when I've criticised Sanchez in the past, it has been specifically for his distribution and specifically for his lack of kind of, awareness at times and being a bit of a bozo and having certain moments. But as a shot stopper, I think it's been undeniable that he has been phenomenal for us in that role. And yesterday was no exception. He had to save a few things. He had to claim some crosses, which is really, really important and imperative, really, against a team like Nottingham Forest that are so good aerially. He was doing that very, very well. And yeah, just being a safe pair of hands behind the back line is another clean sheet for him. I think we've gotten 7 1-0 wins in the last few like months or something like that, which is crazy. So we've got a lot more clean sheets. I think now he has officially finished the season with the highest save percentage of any goalkeeper in the league, which is quite astonishing if you think about it. But yeah, so credit where credit's due with Sanchez. He's been very, very good for us in the last few games. Do I think that he's going to start next season? Probably not, and that maybe is a bit harsh on him, but I think Petrovic, with the season that he's just had, being the Strasbourg player of this season, I think that he's probably going to come back here and start for the majority of the games. But great from Robert, great work from him in the last few games as well, especially. Next player I'm going to be putting in here is also for the good box, of course. It's for our captain, Reece James. Now, I didn't expect him to play the full 90. I'm glad that he's gotten back to full fitness, and credit to Enzo Maresca for that. So I spoke about that yesterday on the watch along. And again, it was just another really solid Reece James defensive performance. And even though he wasn't venturing forward too much, we know in this new system and the way that he is being managed, he doesn't get the license to go bomb up the pitch and put crosses into the box or anything. But as a defensive player on that right hand side, he completely and utterly made Elanga pretty much useless for the rest of the pretty much for the whole game. And even though Elanga got a couple of shots off, it was always in situations where the danger had already been dispelled at that point. And again, just a really, really solid performance from him. Good to see him play a full 90 as well, not get any injuries as well. And yeah, just again, it's a really solid performance. And a spoiler alert here for this good box: the majority of the players going in here today are going to be defenders. I think we can actually use that to segue to the next players going in here, and that's for Tosin Adarabioyo. Now, this might be one of the best free transfers in Premier League history for Chelsea. He has been phenomenal for us, especially in these last few games, and I spoke about him a lot yesterday on the watch along of how good he's been. and how good of a leader he's been for these young players. Obviously, he's the senior citizen at 27, and we all joke and call him Unk and things like that. But yesterday was another fantastic performance from him in terms of his ability to completely shut Wood out of the game for large parts of it, just winning pretty much every aerial duel. He was keeping him locked up. He was able to make the passes inside through the middle. It was, again, another performance from him that honestly warrants him getting more starts. I think that he's very, very good in that role that he plays, especially with Colwill also being able to play on the left hand side and allowing Tosin to play in the central role. I think he's got a place in this team, and I think, again, for a free signing, he's been excellent in these last few months, and another excellent performance from him yesterday. The fifth point is going for a player that I think needs recognition for his part in us getting the win yesterday, despite him not particularly playing 100% of the game very well, and that's Pedro Neto. Now, playing in the false nine yesterday was not the kind of his. It's not really his forte. He obviously can play there at times, and he did put himself about as he always does, running around and energy. But of course, he gets into the good box for the assist, for the goal. And I always say, if you get a goal contribution, more than often than not, you're likely to get into this good box. And yeah, I think, again, it's one of those situations with Neto where he's obviously playing in a position that's really tough to do. Playing as a striker when you're about 5'9" up against Nikola Milenkovic, for example, is not going to be an easy task whatsoever. But I felt like he put himself about enough and, made the runs in behind when he could, made it kind of difficult for Nottingham Forest at times. But yeah, of course, the main reason why he's in here is for the assist. It's a very aware cutback, and kind of proves me right in what I said in my match preview, is that the thing we needed to do to get the breakthrough here was to play pragmatic football like we did for the majority of the game, and then when we get our moment, put the ball low, because they can't deal with low balls. And of course, the ball does go low, and it goes to Levi Colwill. Now, I am going to eat a bit of humble pie here, and I am perfectly okay with accepting when I'm wrong. I'm a person that's not too proud to say that I'm wrong and to admit that I'm wrong. A few weeks ago, I put on Twitter, I said something to the effect of, for this season, he's basically our most overrated player, and I didn't think that he'd played particularly well. Not saying that he wasn't a good player or anything, but specifically for this season, I think that a lot of people had made him up to be better than he actually has been. And true to form, the trademarked mono jinx has come into effect, because as soon as I've said that about him, he has been phenomenal for this last couple of weeks of football in this really incredible run that we've gone on of about 9 games. He's been great in every single one, and this was another game in which he was fantastic, not only defensively but obviously getting himself up into the area and actually not only getting our winning goal. And it's glad to see him, of all people, get that winning goal, because he's one of our own, and he's never really complained about where he's been played or how much minutes he's getting and things like that. He's always just got his head down and puts his mind to the football and kind of doesn't complain. It's good to see him doing that, and obviously we know he wants to be captain at some point. He's already said that. Unfortunately, we've got Reece James in the team, so it doesn't seem like it's going to happen anytime soon. But he could be a vice at some time. But yeah, a really professional performance from him, again, from a defensive standpoint, and the partnership he's built with Tosin is really, really strong. He's, again, locking up the locking up Chris Wood when he had to. He was going over to the left-hand side to help deal with Aina, who was doing the overlaps, and Dominguez, who was on that right-hand side, and specifically those kind of threats when they were running in behind. He was the one to cover for Cucurella, who did struggle at times just because of the overlap, and he was kind of outnumbered at times. And obviously Colwill was able to deal with that. Again, his passing has always been good, him being able to navigate us up the pitch and not panic and settle us down, especially for large periods of this game where we had to kind of take a moment to reset, and because we were under quite a lot of pressure, especially away from home, but we were under a lot of pressure from Nottingham Forest because they were the team that was trying to get the goal, and we were very much the team that was sitting back and saying, hey, come on, try and break us down, we'll break on you instead, which is, again, something that I said in my preview I wanted us to do, and I think that Enzo Maresca got this game plan absolutely excellently. But of course, Colwill gets in here because he does get the winning goal. He does secure us Champions League football next season, and we get to see one of our own doing the business for Chelsea, and it's a lovely thing to see. Now, for the final point, and I briefly mentioned him there, I want to give a massive, massive shout out to our gaffer, Enzo Maresca. Now, I am a little biased here, I will say, because I've backed him since the start of the season, since before the start of the season, before when we were rumoured to get him, when he was one of the four options that were weighed up when we had the conversations about us possibly getting McKenna or Thomas Frank. I stuck by Maresca and I said that he was the guy that was going to lead us to good things this season because I believed in the football that he played. Back when he was the coach at Leicester, I believed in the fact that he was a winning mentality monster in that regard. He wants to win things. He's always been surrounded by winners, whether that was when he was at City or whether he was in that Leicester team. And yeah, he's brought that winning mentality to Chelsea. He's brought that kind of resilience back into the team. Now, the thing which I credit him the most for is the fact that he has shored up this defense so well. And I've given credit to all of these defenders individually for how well they've played, and obviously Sanchez as well. But credit goes to Maresca for allowing them to be able to have that platform to perform well. The system that he has employed this year has gotten the best out of some of the best players that we've got in our team. Think of Enzo's playing really well, getting more goals and assists than he ever has in a season. We've got Palmer getting the most chances, or the second most chances created, and the second most big chances created. Still being our top goal scorer despite having a patchy form in the winter period. We've got players that we thought were kind of out the door at Chelsea, like for example Trevor Chalobah coming back and doing really well. We've got Cucurella, who everyone thought was a bit of a numpty, has turned into not only a fantastic left back for Chelsea but for Spain as well. And again, and he's continued that kind of that form into this season. He's allowed him to play in that role. Of course, as I said before, he's managed James really well. For him to come back and be able to play football again. Same thing with Romeo Lavia, who's getting back to fitness as well, and he's been doing that all season, and I feel like a lot of people haven't given him enough credit. People always say he's a championship manager. Well, he's a Champions League level manager now because we're going to be in that competition, and he's going to be guiding us to progression in that competition, and hopefully the actual win eventually. I'm not sure if we've got the knack to do it next season, but maybe in a couple of seasons' time. For this game specifically, again, I thought he got the game plan absolutely perfect, and it's what I said I wanted us to do. And I was surprised to actually see Enzo Maresca go through with that and play that pragmatic style, change his philosophy in a way and accept that, what, we need to play a different way against this team, which is something that he wasn't particularly good at doing when he was Leicester coach, when he was our coach at the start of the season. People said he was a bit stubborn and wouldn't change his ways. He's completely proven those people wrong and completely proven a lot of the doubters wrong. And the fact that he's got us here, we're obviously going to be challenging for a cup as well in a couple of days. Of course, I'll be doing a watch along for that, so don't miss that if you want to see that. I'll be doing that on the same day. And yeah, it's a big thing for him because throughout all the doubt that he has been thrown his way in the media from pundits, etc., he has proven every single one of them wrong. He's proven that his style of football is sustainable, and the fact that this project that we are building, especially with him, is sustainable. And you see the reaction at full time when we qualify for the Champions League. We see the owners, Todd Bowley, we see him hugging players on the pitch just because they do care. And I know a lot of people like to get on the backs of the owners and say they don't care and this project is silly and we're doing all this, we've got a terrible manager. People, negative Nancy's are everywhere and I hate them. So it's good to see him kind of, being backed by the owners and proving them right in a way and saying, hey, you know what, this is the right thing to do. Getting Maresca in was a good choice. We could have had multiple different managers and we decided to get Maresca instead, and he ultimately got us the one thing that we wanted this season, which was qualification for the Champions League. But the thing which I really want to leave this off with, and the thing which is good for me, is that he's really brought back the heart of this team, and you can see that every single one of these young players, and let's not get it twisted, we've gotten top four with the least experienced team in the entire league, which is phenomenal in itself, and again, credit to Maresca for being able to do that. But the togetherness that he has built, that kind of family, family oriented community feel to Chelsea nowadays, in the players, you see all the players talking to each other on social media, and you see all the players having fun in training and stuff, and that's a result of the kind of culture that he's brought over here. He's brought not only that winning mentality, but he's brought a kind of a loving group of players to know that we are all one unit rather than individuals. And I think that kind of is his philosophy in general. It's just not just and not just in his football tactics and saying, hey, we need to work as a unit, but as a kind of societal thing in the whole team. And the fact that even players that haven't been playing much this season, like for example Keane and Dewsbury Hall, credit to him for that last minute block in this game, by the way, even players like that who aren't getting the most minutes, they still feel like a big part of the team. They still feel like they're not going to be complaining because they're not getting game time. And all of the players that kind of have had that problem of being a bit out of line with the where they're playing and how much they're playing have been shipped away. They've been gone or are soon to be gone. So it's good to see us kind of creating that positive environment in a team that has been very, very negative in terms of that kind of, that togetherness and that kind of lack of belief in themselves and things like that over the last few seasons. He's instilled that belief, he's instilled that heart into this team. And for that, we've got to say thanks. Now, usually with these, when I do these live, obviously I would allow the people in the stream to vote for the True Blue, or the Grey Grey, as it's now called. And I'm going to be taking the liberty here to choose Levi Colwill myself, because I think most people would say Levi Colwill. Not only does he get the winning goal, of course, for the game, but again, a phenomenal defensive performance from him. So I have to put him in there. And yeah, he is again, even though I've changed the name of this, he is a true blue at heart, and being obviously one of our common products, being one of our own, and getting us into the Champions League now. And now all of these things have been weighed up on the grayscale and the grey grade has been decided. I'd like to ask you to please like the video. It helps out the channel massively. If you want more videos like this, of course, you can subscribe as well. And leave a comment down below to tell me what your opinions of this game were as well. I look forward to reading them and responding to as many as I can. We move on to the Europa Conference League final, which of course I'll be covering with a preview, but also my watch along as I mentioned before. So come through to that if you want. And remember, football can be as simple as black and white.